following through on what they say. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm not going nowhere. Come here. Lay your head down on my shoulder. Yeah. Promise you don't have to shed another painful tear, because I'm your man, 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 and I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, 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 and we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Still remember the day I looked into your eyes. You caught me by surprise. That walk, that talk, the way you made me gravitate towards you, it changed me for the better. You're all I need, and you're all I see, and you're fine as wine. I'm so blessed you're mine. You stole my heart right from the start. When you said hello, I saw your glow. Hey, I'm your man, 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 and I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, 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 and we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Hey, if you ever been in love, put your hands up. If you tired of the lies, put your hands up. Wave them high up to the sky. If you ever been in love, put your hands up. If you tired of the lies, put your hands up. Wave them high up to the sky. I'm your man, yeah, I'm your man, and I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, 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 and we gon' ride, we gon' ride. I'm your man, 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 and I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, 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 and we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Lay your head down on my shoulder. Yeah, yeah. My bad, y'all. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? My bad. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, so let me see. So H Service says, was P-Diddy entangled with 14 to 16-year-olds? No similarities. I don't know. I'm hearing stuff about Justin Bieber when he was 15 with P-Diddy for 48 hours, undisclosed, where nobody know
what they did, how they did, when they did it, and stuff starting to come out. So I don't know. We're going to find out. Sunday Dollar, what up? She says same stuff, different cast. Diva Time, what up? What's going on? Angela Anderson, hello. Kanza, what's up? Miss Mo is in the building. What up? Cherie Harris, what up? Let me see who else. Take Tupac and give us, take R. Kelly and give us Tupac back. What's going on? How you doing? Let me see. Rose Flower said, I love your song. Thank you so much. Hayward Janelle says, yes. What's up, Atmos? Finally caught you live. My sister put me on to your channel, saying one. That's what's up. Tell I said, hey, I see some of these celebrities don't believe fat meat greasy. Man, they gonna have to. Okay. All right, I'm back, y'all. Y'all can. What's up, Lesmit One? I know Cass, and she is one of the most kind, loving spirits. Would always greet you with a smile. When she saw you around 2012, you could see a spark drain from her eyes. I pray for her peace, man. K-Love 92, what up? What up? Okay, y'all. Let's get going. So thank y'all for coming over. We are going to first. I want to show y'all some stuff, man. As y'all know, we're gonna read the paperwork, and we're going to just kind of dive into it. This could be my first read. As y'all know, I love to give y'all everything organically, raw, real. If y'all want to come on and speak on the panel, I will open it up to you also. If anybody out there wants to read some of this with me, I'm going to go ahead and open up the interview line here, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. Okay, K-Love92. All right, I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to paste the link in the chat. And then I'm going to, let me pin the link to the top. Okay, so there's the link there. Let me pin it to the top. For anybody that wants to come in, you're more than welcome to come in and speak your mind. But we're going to go ahead and read the stuff, y'all. Now, before we do this, yes, trigger warning. For those of y'all who are sensitive to abuse, sensitive to hearing about things like the R word, things like that, I'm going to have to be very careful on some of the things I say on here. Because as I understand, this paperwork is extremely graphic. And so, YouTube has certain guidelines that they don't want you to cross. So I'm going to be very careful on some of the things that I say when I read this stuff. However, from what I've heard so far, without me actually reading it for myself, y'all, I hear this is pretty explosive. It's very damaging, and it'll definitely make people that are fans of P. Diddy look at him a whole different way, right? And so we're going to get into this, y'all. The first thing I want to show y'all here is something that was sent to me. Shout out T-Bam and everyone who be sending me stuff. I do appreciate y'all for looking out, making sure that I can stay on top of this kind of stuff. But it's my understanding that P. Diddy's his ex-wife, I believe, was killed in, I believe it was 2018. And there was a psychic who actually did a psychic reading into her energy back then, or whenever she did this. But this is what she said. I want to show y'all really quick. Hold on. Let me transfer this over here. I'm going to take this down. And I want y'all to see this real quick. So let me minimize this. All right, watch this. Let me make sure y'all can hear it. Okay. Y'all hear it? Let's see. There we go.
Of 2023. So her death date was November 15th of 2018, but I'm being shown November of 2023. I don't think we're done with this. I feel she's shaking her head yes. Before she stare at me, then she wait, and now she's shaking her head yes. I am being shown that things are being prepared. She is showing me a trumpet. People are standing straight up, and there are people going to speak, not just about what happened to her, about other things. Something is unraveling. For some reason, she's showing me like, was one of her kids, I wonder, in band? Because she's showing me like trumpet marching band type music, which is weird because I don't think that that's her favorite, but I'm being shown that. Somebody is leading the march, leading the way there. That's what it is. Somebody is leading the march, leading the way to uncover this information. And I'm getting 5 months. So I feel, sorry, I keep laughing because she's like, out with it. Toxic metal exposure. Personal, private, written, handwritten documentation about what was said to her 3 months before she passed, what she witnessed, and the final straw that she couldn't take anymore. And it's not a case of domestic violence. It goes far beyond that and that. So it is domestic violence, but it's far, far beyond that. So she goes in a completely different scope. 5 months. The time is being marked. 5 months. So this is June, July, August, September, October, November. I'm going for November 15th. Or right around there. It's coming out. It will not be, you cannot keep this. She's literally, you cannot stop the truth. And she has like, this is it. So like crazy. I am being shown November of 2023. So her death date was November 15th of 2018. But I'm being shown November of 2023. I don't think we're done with this. I feel she's shaking her head yes. Before she stare at me, then she wait, and now she's shaking her head yes. I am being shown that things are being prepared. She is showing me a trumpet. People are standing straight up. And there are people going to speak, not just about what happened to her, about other things. Something is unraveling. For some reason, she's showing me like, was one of her kids, I wonder, in band? Because she's showing me like trumpet marching band type music, which is weird because I don't think that that's her favorite, but I'm being shown that. Somebody is leading the march, leading the way there. That's what it is. Somebody is leading the march, leading the way to uncover this information. And I'm getting 5 months. So I feel, sorry, I keep laughing because she's like, out with it. Toxic metal exposure. Personal, private, written, handwritten documentation about what was said to her 3 months before she passed, what she witnessed, and the final straw that she couldn't take anymore. And it's not a case of domestic violence. It goes far beyond that and that. So it is domestic violence, but it's far, far beyond that. So she goes in a completely different scope. 5 months. The time is being marked. 5 months. So this is June, July, August, September, October, November. I'm going for November 15th. Or right around there. It's coming out. It will not be, you cannot keep this. She's literally, you cannot stop the truth. And she has like, this is it. So like crazy. I am being shown November.
Wow. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. Let me see something here. This was posted. Somebody posted this on June 3rd of 2023. So this was before yesterday when this thing came out. So like, can't nobody say that this was fake or somebody put this together. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't really get into the psychic thing either, but man. So y'all, let's go ahead and get into this here. So I want to let me pull this up. Hold on. Let me see. Let me do this. Let me go over here. Y'all hold one moment. And I'm going to pull this up for y'all so y'all can actually see what we talking about. Okay. Hold on. Sometimes I don't mind, being one of the last ones to read something because I get to really, get into this. So y'all, this is the let me take this down. Hold on. Let me take this off. Okay. So this is the actual paperwork of the allegation here. This was a complaint for jury trial demand. Let me open this up a little bit more. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so I want y'all to be able to see this. Let me minimize this. Y'all know how we do over here. We really get down to it. And like I said, I'm just going to give y'all we're just going to read it, and then we're going to, just talk about what we see, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So it says here, United States District Court, this came out on the 16th. This is about 35-page read. This is United States District Court, Southern District of New York. Cassandra Ventura is the plaintiff. She is filing a complaint against Sean Combs of Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises LLC, and Doe Corps 1 through 10. So the complaint is for a jury trial demand. It says here, y'all know when the court papers say trigger warning. When the court papers say trigger warning, it's definitely a trigger warning, okay? It does say here, trigger warning, this document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including sexual assault. So, let me give y'all the trigger warning right now. If you are sensitive to graphic things, this is your trigger warning to let you know that it is going to be some graphic stuff read on today. So, just understand that, I'm courteous to those people. This may not be the live for you, but let's go ahead and read this. Okay. All right, here we go. So it says here, plaintiff is Cassandra Ventura. Miss Ventura hereby alleges, as for her complaint against defendant Sean Combs, Mr. Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises LLC, and Doe Corporations 1 through 10, together defendant corporations, and together with Mr. Combs, defendants as follows. Preliminary statement. What up, West Coast Bells? What's going on? Preliminary statement. You came in right on time. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive, popularly known by his stage names of Puff Daddy, P-Diddy, or Diddy. Mr. Combs came to fame in early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records. Okay, Bad Boy Records. He rose to prominence in his music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. In 2022, Mr. Combs received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. During his acceptance speech, Mr. Combs stated, I have a gift, I have to give a special shout out, thank you, love to the people that was really there for me. He named a number of people before adding, and also Casey for holding me down in the dark times, love. Okay, hold me down in the dark times, love. Dark times, huh? Okay. It says the truth, however, is that Casey, Miss Cassandra Ventura, was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Miss Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking among other violent and unlawful acts. Mr. Combs R-worded Miss Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him. Often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Miss Ventura, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. Forced Miss Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters. This sounds like somebody else. Already. This is looking way too familiar so far. Who else used to do that? Can anybody tell me who else used to like to watch or force a woman to have sexual acts with another man while they jack off? Who else did that? And film the encounters. I had somebody in my chat that said, "No, they don't have the same similarities." Bull crap. Bull crap. Now, I'm going to try to be nice, y'all, but like I told y'all, this is a raw read for me, so everything y'all seeing is authentic. Okay? It says, he forced Miss Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex partners while masturbating and filming the encounters. Are you freaking crazy? Ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby. Demanded that Miss Ventura to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. What's up, Purple Purple? Says Miss Ventura met Mr. Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to his label, Bad Boys Records, and within a few years lured Miss Ventura into a ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him, her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, with a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Miss Ventura's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for an aspiring artist, but in return demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. I swear this sounds like somebody else I know. This sounds like somebody else. Let's read on. Throughout their relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage and frequently beat Miss Ventura savagely. Those beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. Now here's a difference. Here's a freaking difference. If it comes up that these witnesses get on the stand against him, see, R. Kelly did his stuff behind the scenes, other than what you saw in the videos, right? You didn't hear anybody get up there and say, yeah, I saw R. Kelly smack her down, punch her down, kick her in her head. No, you didn't hear that or see that. You didn't see that. You heard people say they heard stuff, but no one said they laid eyes on it. They are saying that his staff actually saw. So if they bought this or they have, this is going to be crazy. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Miss Ventura of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his gun in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. Adding insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Miss Ventura into repeated, unwanted sexual encounters with male sex workers. Sound like somebody else I know. Over the years that Mr. Combs abused Miss Ventura physically and sexually, she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her. And those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far as to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner, after which he forced her into her home and R-worded her while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Miss Ventura has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assaults and the sexual abuse he caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. She has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. So she did get some. So for people that might say, oh, did she get any type of treatment? Did she go see a psychiatrist? It says right here, she has required extensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what she endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful and immensely dangerous. Miss Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with threats of violence, excessive use of drugs, physical and psychological abuse, and sexual slavery. Accordingly, Miss Ventura brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of federal sex trafficking laws, 18 U.S.C. 1591 New York State Human Rights Law. There's some more case law, some more case law, some more case law, more case law. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has jurisdiction pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1331 and 1343, as this action asserts violations of 18 U.S.C. and 1591, and therefore raises federal questions regarding the deprivation of the plaintiff's rights. The court has supplemental jurisdiction over the plaintiff's related claims arising under state and city law pursuant to 28 U.S.C. Pursuant to 28 U.S.C., venue is proper for this court because a substantial part of the events or omissions given rise to this action included the unlawful employment practices and intentional and negligent tortious conduct alleged herein occurred in this district. So they're saying, what's up in his service? What's going on? What's going on? Girl Melanie, what's good? So as you can see here, they are just kind of letting you know that this is the perfect venue. This is the right jurisdiction because most of the stuff he did to her happened in this jurisdiction. Okay? Says plaintiff Cassandra Ventura is a resident of states of California and Connecticut and was employed by defendants Bad Boy Records LLC, and Bad Boy Entertainment and related entities, among them Doe Corporations 1 through 10 from 2006 to 2019. At all relevant times herein, Ms. Ventura met the definition of an employee of defendants under all relevant statutes. Defendant Sean Combs, among information and belief, resides in the state of California. At all relevant times herein, Mr. Combs met the definition of an employer of plaintiff under all relevant statutes. Says defendant Bad Boy Entertainment is a musical media and entertainment company founded by defendant Sean Combs, which includes a record label, defendant Bad Boy Records, LLC, and all relevant times. Defendant was an employer of the plaintiff within the meaning of the applicable statutes. The defendant Bad Boy Records, LLC is a Delaware limited liability company with a principal place of business located in New York, New York. At all relevant times, the defendant was an employer of the plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. The defendant, Epic Records, is in New York-based record label owned by Sony Music Entertainment, a subsidiary of Sony Corporation of America. And at all relevant times, the defendant was an employer of the plaintiff within the meaning of applicable statutes. The defendant, Sean Combs Entertainment, LLC, is a New York limited liability company. At all relevant times, the defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. And the defendant, Doe Corporations 1 through 10, are corporations and entities affiliated and associated with defendant Sean Combs and defendant corporations. At all relevant times, the defendant, Doe Corporations 1 through 10, were employers of the plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. So they're trying to let people know that this whole time he was her boss. He held a position of authority over her, not only being 20 years older than her, but also being the one who was in charge of her career as she was signed to his label. So just understand the power that he possessed over this girl at this young age. Now, here are the factual allegations. It says, teen Miss Ventura meets middle-aged Mr. Combs as her career begins. It says, Miss Ventura met Mr. Combs in late 2005 and early 2006. After Mr. Combs heard Miss Ventura's first single playing in the club and expressed interest in signing her to his label, Bad Boy Records. At the time, Miss Ventura was only 19 years old. Mr. Combs was 37 years old. Within months, in February 2006, Miss Ventura signed a 10-album deal with Mr. Combs' record label. Damn. Miss Ventura's first album, Cassie, was released in August 2006, debuting at number 4 in the U.S. Billboard 200. To promote the album, Miss Ventura made television appearances on MTV's Total Request Live and BET's 106 & Park. Miss Ventura suffered from a significant performance anxiety during these appearances, and press outlets were highly critical of Miss Ventura's performances on these shows. What's up, Puzzle Pieces? What up? What up? What up? What's up, Queen Keish? How you doing? Yeah, that right there, a 10-album deal. Like, that's almost a lifetime damn deal. 10 albums? He won't try to let her go nowhere. My gosh. I mean, the most, what, Drake signed a, was it like a $500 million deal for like 5 albums or something like that? 10 albums? That's crazy. Says Mr. Combs, however, sought to rehabilitate his newly signed talent, telling MTV News, "You could hear the nervousness in her voice, and to be honest, I kind of smiled at it because it made me really appreciate what I really love about her. She's a regular person. It just made me appreciate that she got nervous, and it was kind of cute to me, to be honest. You've got to understand that success for her is coming out of nowhere. It's just so huge, and sometimes everybody handles it differently." So it says here, while clearly paternalistic in noting that it was cute to him how regular Miss Ventura appeared. Mr. Combs' comments rang true to some extent. Upon signing the Bad Boy Records, Miss Ventura was quickly thrust into the spotlight and was unfamiliar with how to navigate her new celebrity status. Mr. Combs' recognition and glorification of Miss Ventura's naivety proved to set the groundwork for his manipulative and coercive romantic and sexual relationship with Miss Ventura, a woman nearly 20 years younger than him, 22 decades his junior. Within a year of signing with Bad Boy Records, Mr. Combs began deeply encroaching in Miss Ventura's life, almost immediately asserting possession, there's that word, and control over her. Well, that's pretty obvious giving somebody a 10-album deal. And inserting himself into all aspects of her career and her personal life. In November 2006, Mr. Combs invited Miss Ventura to perform his song, Come to Me, along with him at the MTV Europe Music Awards in Copenhagen, Denmark. After rehearsal for the performance, Mr. Combs walked around in a robe with a drink in his hand, flaunting his lavish party lifestyle to his label's newly signed artists. During hair and makeup leading up to the performance, Miss Ventura's hairstylist and Mr. Combs' makeup artist told Miss Ventura that Mr. Combs was interested in Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura shrugged off the gossip and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap between her and the president of her label. Emphasizing the age and power dynamic, early on their working relationship, Mr. Combs positioned himself as a father figure and protector of Miss Ventura. Sounds like grooming to me. I'm going to protect you. Nobody going to bother you. I got you. You good. You're safe with me. Till you get in them pants. By the way, example, after returning to New York after a trip to Las Vegas, during which she endured a brief hospital stay, Miss Ventura, who by then was fully healthy, went out to a club with her friends. When Mr. Combs saw her out, he reprimanded her, telling her to go home and take care of herself. At the time, Miss Ventura thought that her record label was looking out for her well-being and that Mr. Combs had her best interests in mind. Mr. Combs also ensured that he was intertwined with Miss Ventura's personal and social life, for instance, by inviting himself to Miss Ventura's 21st birthday party in Las Vegas. He also brought along famous musicians and producers, thereby flaunting his celebrity status and influence in front of young and impressionable Miss Ventura. Although Mr. Combs knew that Miss Ventura was in a relationship at the time, and even though he was publicly in a relationship with Kim Porter, Mr. Combs nevertheless pursued Miss Ventura at an after-party in a hotel suite. Following Miss Ventura's 21st birthday party, Mr. Combs pulled Miss Ventura into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Miss Ventura did not consent to this unwanted contact. She immediately ran out of the bathroom and the hotel suite and cried. She told her best friend at the time about what happened, but she was too scared to tell anyone else. Man, that sounds like somebody else I know. I tell y'all, I'm starting to see similarities here. I'm starting to see similarities here. Okay? Here we go. At the music awards the following day, Miss Ventura's boyfriend at the time joined her and Mr. Combs at a table at the award ceremony. Mr. Combs became angry, telling Miss Ventura that the invitation to the award ceremony was only for her and not her significant other. Mr. Combs lures Miss Ventura into a relationship. Thank you so much, Puzzle Pieces, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Despite her rejection of Mr. Combs' advances, Mr. Combs continued to demand Miss Ventura spend time with him, including for a weekend at Mr. Combs' residence in Miami and for nights out in New York City. On one particular night around September 2007, Mr. Combs insisted on taking Miss Ventura out. Miss Ventura acquiesced, fearing that rejecting Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs at his company, Bad Boy Records. All right, hold on, y'all. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, this is crazy. Okay, here we go. This is getting crazy and crazy, y'all. So it says, Mr. Combs. Hold on, y'all. Yo. I'm live. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm back, y'all. Sorry about that. All right, so spent time with him, particular weekend, Mr. Combs' residence in Miami for the nights out in New York City. It says, on one particular night around September 2007, Mr. Combs insisted on taking Miss Ventura out. Miss Ventura acquiesced, fearing that rejecting Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs and his company, Bad Boy Records. Mr. Combs picked up Miss Ventura from the apartment in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Miss Ventura was surprised that when she got into the car, Mr. Combs was already inebriated. So he was already drunk. Great. Wow. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Miss Ventura asked what the pill was, Mr. Combs dismissed her and told her she would like it. She later learned the pill was ecstasy, something Miss Ventura had never tried before and did not want to try. This was the first time Mr. Combs got Miss Ventura high. Mr. Combs then proceeded to drive recklessly at a very high speeds down West Side Highway in Manhattan. Miss Ventura was very scared, but did not dare to object to Mr. Combs, who appeared drunk, high, and agitated. Mr. Combs took Miss Ventura to an upscale lounge in downtown Manhattan, where he proceeded to get into an altercation with the security staff, who would not permit Mr. Combs to enter, presumably because he was belligerent. Miss Ventura decided to go home, but for the remainder of the night, Mr. Combs messaged Miss Ventura, incessantly complaining that he left him high alone, or that she left him high and alone. In early fall 2007, Mr. Combs flexed his power and influence that he had paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party hosted by Miss Ventura. This fake posting allowed Mrs. Ventura to have an excuse to go to Miami, Florida, to get her away from her boyfriend by using the guise of a legitimate event she had to attend. Mrs. Ventura was stunned at how easily Mr. Combs was able to recruit others to lie for him. Miss Ventura was uncomfortable with the fake flyer, but because of the request to go to Miami was made by the owner of her record label, and because she was scared to go against his wishes and face repercussions to her nascent career, Miss Ventura agreed to join Mr. Combs in Florida. Wow. During this trip to Miami, Mr. Combs provided Miss Ventura with copious amounts of drugs. She became more intoxicated than she ever had before, and her intoxication lasted throughout the weekend trip. As she wanted Mr. Combs to continue to support her career, she felt she could not refuse Mr. Combs urging her to take more drugs. After providing her with drugs, Mr. Combs had sexual intercourse with Miss Ventura during this trip. Within 2 years of meeting Mr. Combs, Miss Ventura found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of the record label and one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. Mr. Combs exerts control over Miss Ventura's career and personal life. From the very start of their relationship, Mr. Combs exerted his power and influence over Miss Ventura. This dynamic was fueled by their nearly 20-year age difference, as well as their relative positions in the entertainment industry, with Mr. Combs considered a music mogul and Miss Ventura at the very start of the career as an entertainer. Mr. Combs' aggressive and demanding approach to those he worked with made it impossible for anyone to challenge him, and Miss Ventura soon learned that Mr. Combs insisted on blind loyalty from everybody in his inner circle. Although Miss Ventura had saved up some earnings from her young modeling career, Mr. Combs' ostentatious display of wealth was intimidating to her. Mr. Combs paid for things with wads of cash and would respectfully tell Miss Ventura, "Don't worry about money. I have money." Mr. Combs expensed lavish vacations for him and Miss Ventura, purchased a car for her, paid for her apartment, and provided her with expensive amounts of designer clothing. Around 2008 or 2009, Mr. Combs began to rent an apartment in Manhattan for Miss Ventura. The apartment was within walking distance of Mr. Combs' New York residence. He first showed Miss Ventura the apartment by bringing her along with her parents. Miss Ventura's parents were skeptical of the mogul's display of wealth, but proud of their daughter's newfound success. Around 2010, Mr. Combs similarly paid for an apartment for Miss Ventura in Los Angeles, which was located about 5 minutes away from Mr. Combs' residence. He paid for many of her apartments in California and also purchased a Jaguar for her around 2013-2014. All aspects of Miss Ventura's life were controlled by either Mr. Combs or his management companies. Every event Miss Ventura attended, from the travel to the makeup and clothing, was paid for directly by Mr. Combs and his affiliated companies. Compounding this all-encompassing intrusion into her life, Mr. Combs secured his control over the young and impressionable Miss Ventura by introducing her to a drug-fueled lifestyle that kept her complacent and compliant. Mr. Combs first introduced Miss Ventura to opiates around 2008 and will often have pills and other drugs out in the open like candy. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs has been addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. At first, Miss Ventura was given the prescriptions that Mr. Combs received from a doctor in Miami. Eventually, when Mr. Combs exhausted his supply of pills, he demanded that Miss Ventura procure prescriptions from this Miami doctor in her own name. Mr. Combs also became deeply involved in Miss Ventura's personal life, with his personal staff attending to Miss Ventura's day-to-day travel and other needs, including medical care. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's personal medical records sent directly to his email address, or he had Miss Ventura's personal records sent to his email address. For instance, when Miss Ventura began experiencing memory loss, potentially due to excessive drug use and or head injuries caused by Mr. Combs' beatings, and described below, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. Mr. Combs also repeatedly arranged for his staff to drive Miss Ventura to certain doctor's appointments. In this way, Mr. Combs asserted ownership over Miss Ventura as another example of ways in which he manipulated Miss Ventura and ensured obedience. Early on in their relationship, he asked Miss Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Mr. Ventura, he asked Miss Ventura what she called her grandfather. When Mr. Ventura said that she referred to her grandfather as Pop Pop, Mr. Combs perversely insisted that Miss Ventura refer to him with that nickname. Oh boy, here we go with that daddy shit. Call me daddy. Who that sound like? Y'all, somebody said earlier on here that I don't see no similarities between the two. Man, please. What's up, baby sis 6.0? What's good? Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's relationship becomes violent and abusive. Says what started as a whirlpool of celebrity meeting and drug and alcohol fueling. Let me pull myself over here a little bit. Okay, and alcohol fueling parties, however, quickly turned frightening and violent. It says Miss Ventura was also exposed to the intense violence that pervaded Mr. Combs' rise to fame. For example, on one occasion, when Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura were using drugs together in his home, one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight, a long-term rival of Mr. Combs, was spotted at Mel's Drive-In Diner in Los Angeles. Mr. Combs began to get dressed, retrieved multiple guns from a safe, and ran out of his home to where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Miss Ventura became terrified and began to cry. On at least 2 occasions, Mr. Combs demanded that Miss Ventura hold Mr. Combs' guns in her purse. Miss Ventura had no familiarity with guns and was petrified that the firearm would accidentally go off in her purse. There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous. Over the next decade, multiple times each year, Mr. Combs would violently beat Miss Ventura, leaving bruises on her body. After every instance in which he beat Miss Ventura, Mr. Combs used his money and power to orchestrate extensive efforts to hide the evidence of his abuse, including by hiding Miss Ventura in hotels for days at a time to let her bruises heal. In one instance, after a party with Jay-Z, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura repeatedly in an escalade, including by kicking and hitting her. He forced her out of the vehicle on 5th Avenue in New York City. He was eventually able to hail a cab to get her to her apartment in Manhattan, where she cried in fear, realizing there was no one she could tell about what had happened at the hands of this incredibly powerful man. She spent a subsequent 3 days hiding in her apartment. In July 2009, after Mr. Combs learned, hold on, y'all. Hold real quick, y'all. Your mom out there? Tell her I'm live. All right, y'all. My bad. Okay. Here we go. Says in January 2009, after Mr. Combs learned hold on, y'all. Just ran up and down the stairs. Okay. In January 2009, after Mr. Combs learned that Miss Ventura spoke to another music manager at a party in Los Angeles, he became enraged. He had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career. Okay? She had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career and that Mr. Combs would be happy for her. But instead, he became extremely angry, pulled her out the club where the party was taking place. Oh my goodness. Here we go. In the car, leaving the club, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura, pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stomping on her face. What's up, Doughboy41? What's going on? Doughboy410, what up? Welcome to the chat. Y'all see this? Stomping on her face. Says Mr. Combs' security staff, Roger Bonds, tried to stop the beating, but was unable to de-escalate the situation. When the car arrived at Mr. Combs' residence, Miss Ventura attempted to run away, but Mr. Combs followed her and proceeded to, again, kick her in the face. Miss Ventura was bleeding profusely and was ushered into Mr. Combs' home, where she began to throw up from the violent assault. Upon recognizing the damage he had done and the physical evidence of his abuse, Mr. Combs panicked and forced his staff to bring Miss Ventura to a hotel suite at the London Hotel in Los Angeles, where she was required to stay for a week. What the heck is wrong with this freaking dude? I don't understand these what are these men thinking when they beating and kicking and hitting and slapping and spitting on these women, and they see, do they just black out and see blood and just go crazy? Like, during this stay, as her injuries from the beating healed, Miss Ventura began to fully realize that Mr. Combs' tremendously loyal network not only knew about and witnessed his assault, but also that the witnesses were not willing to do anything meaningful to stop Mr. Combs' behavior. She recognized that she was powerless and that reporting Mr. Combs to the authorities would not alter Mr. Combs' status or influence, but would merely give Mr. Combs another excuse to hurt her. While in the hotel, she asked to go home to her parents, but Mr. Combs wouldn't let her leave. She lied to her mother when asked about an online gossip forum that reported the assault. Mr. Combs proceeded to instruct his assistant to purchase excessive amounts of gifts for Miss Ventura, which were delivered to the hotel room where she remained trapped. Miss Ventura was terrified, isolated, and unable to see a pathway out of Mr. Combs' abuse on her hold on her life. This is crazy. She found herself becoming numb to the abuse she was experiencing and became entirely beholden to Mr. Combs' demands. She began to blindly follow his instructions out of the fear of again being on the receiving end of a vicious beating. By Mr. Combs' own admission, his relationship with Miss Ventura was like Bobby and Whitney. What? First of all, hold on, stop. Time out. You 20 years older than this girl. You saying, it says here, Mr. Combs' own admission, his relationship with Ventura was like Bobby and Whitney. You had the authority over her. You had the authority over her. So it was this was nothing but straight. These accusations scream straight abuse and overpowerment. A clear acknowledgement of an unequal power dynamic and excessive domestic violence that permitted their relationship. From the outside looking in, Miss Ventura had heard others refer to her relationship with Mr. Combs as akin to Ike and Tina. Unbelievable. First of all, the girl was 19 when he met her. So how could she can't defend herself. Her volatile and abusive partner, who also owned her label and therefore held her future success in his hands, had fully exerted control over every aspect of her life. Mr. Combs forces Miss Ventura into sex trafficking. Oh my gosh. Woo. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, hold on, y'all. Let me. Hold on. It says, within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with the 40-year-old, Mr. Combs, the 20-year-old, 22-year-old Miss Ventura felt beholden to his whims and demands. While in New York City, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he wanted to engage in a fantasy he called voyeurism. Mr. Combs said that it would turn him on if he saw Miss Ventura with another dick. The first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man to his home in Los Angeles, the man, Mr. Combs, the man, comma, which means and Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura wore masquerade masks and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform sexual acts with the man while Mr. Combs watched them. He masturbated while he directed Miss Ventura and the man to do specific sexual acts. Who does this sound like to you? What? Man. Man. What's up, Nanya? Man. Who the next music mogul gonna come out that we gonna find out they did this to women too? Huh? This is nothing but R. Kelly 2.0. That's what this is. R. Kelly all over again. Now it's got to really make you wonder how many other people are doing this. Huh? It says the first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man to his home in Los Angeles, the man, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura wore a masquerade mask and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura, a girl or woman that was 20 years younger than him, that he'd been grooming and beating and kicking. He beat the fear of submission into this girl or this woman at this time. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform sexual acts with this man while Mr. Combs watched them. He masturbated while he directed Miss Ventura and the man to do specific sexual acts. The entire encounter lasted multiple days. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak-off or a FO. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted a FO, and Miss Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of male sex workers. Yes, it says multiple days of forcing her to have sex with strangers. At certain points during Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs' relationship, he would insist on a FO weekly. Mr. Combs would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura that this practice was our thing and our secret. FOs would often take place in hotel suites, including at the Trump International Hotel. Oh my goodness. Who else has something to do with the daggone Trump? Somebody help me understand this. Who else has something to do with the Trump? Huh? FOs would often take place in hotel suites and include at the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle, whatever that word is, in Beverly Hills, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental in Atlanta, the Intercontinental in New York City, the One Hotel in New York and in Miami, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in New York and in Miami, the Fontainebleau in Miami, the Beverly Hills Hotel, the Shutters Beach in Los Angeles, and on one occasion around 2013, Mr. Combs had a FO set up. Let me tell y'all something. I guarantee you, they have all the records of all these different hotels that they named. Oh, yeah, they got the records to back this up. What's up, Chanel Lewis? Yeah. New York City, after which he was charged on one occasion around 2013, Mr. Combs had an FO set up at the Intercontinental Hotel in New York City, after which he was charged with tens of thousands of dollars in damages by the hotel. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Tony Fletcher, paid the invoice charged by the hotel. What the hell was they doing that they did $10,000 in damage at a hotel? Miss Ventura was eventually instructed to use websites and escort services to find male sex workers to participate in FOs. Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura to search for large black penises on websites. Sometimes Mr. Combs would pay to fly male sex workers to his location, including to multiple cities in the United States as well as abroad. He required Miss Ventura and his staff to help him make these arrangements. Mr. Combs' assistants would help to set up the FOs, including by setting up the hotel suites with baby oil and Astroglide. Mr. Combs always supplied Miss Ventura and the sex worker with copious amounts of drugs before and during the FOs. Miss Ventura was given ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and alcohol in excessive amounts during FOs, which allowed her to disassociate during these horrific encounters. It became commonplace to get IV fluids in the days after an FO to recover from the excessive substances pushed upon her. This is... Miss Ventura was required to dress up in lingerie for an FO, and Mr. Combs insisted that she wear white nail polish to contrast her nails and the skin of the black men she hired to have sex with her. During the FO, Mr. Combs would instruct Miss Ventura to pour excessive amounts of oil over herself. Mr. Combs would then instruct Miss Ventura and the sex partners to speak to each other, and then would specifically tell Miss Ventura where to touch sex workers. Mr. Combs would say things like, "Grab that big black dick and ask her how it feels. And ask how it feels. And ask her how it feels." And he directed her to perform for him. During the FOs, in addition to directing Miss Ventura and masturbating, Mr. Combs would use his phone and laptop and tablet to film Miss Ventura having sex with the hired sex worker. Who else did stuff like this? He treated and forced the encounter as a personal art project, adjusting the candles he used for lighting to flame the videos he took. Hot damn. Don't tell me that they got videos of all these things. How much you want to bet they do? Who willing to put money on it that they got videos of this stuff that they talking about right here? While Miss Ventura quickly deleted any photographs or video of sex acts if they were taken on her phone, Mr. Combs repeatedly made her clear that he retained any. Mr. Combs repeatedly made it clear that he retained many videos of Miss Ventura during FOs. Even when she deleted the videos, Mr. Combs would tell Miss Ventura that he was able to recover deleted videos from her devices. On one occasion, he sat next to her on a flight and made her watch a video she thought she had deleted. Oh, here we go. There we go. She had deleted, reinforcing her inability to escape and the immense power he held over her. Mr. Combs would pay the sales workers a few $1,000s in cash for their services. During some FOs, Mr. Combs would become extremely intoxicated and would hit Miss Ventura in front of the male workers. Miss Ventura was repulsed by Mr. Combs' demands, but between the physical beatings and recognizing his incredible power and incredible temper, Miss Ventura became petrified of her partner and boss and felt that she could not say no. He even would present her with lavish gifts prior to the middle of the FO, seemingly acknowledging the ways in which these forced sexual encounters constituted work for Miss Ventura, and that he needed to compensate her for this work. At one point, he had given her so many designer bracelets for FOs and repeatedly following his brutal beatings that she felt like she was shackled by his presence. Frequently, her anxiety before the FO would become so great that she would become physically ill, sometimes to the point of vomiting. While kneeling over the toilet, Mr. Combs would shame her into performing for him, eventually forcing her to get up and proceed with the encounter. She knew firsthand that telling Mr. Combs that she did not want to engage in FOs was met with anger and violence. In addition, any suggestion that Miss Ventura would refuse an FO or otherwise report Mr. Combs' abuse was met with ultimatums by Mr. Combs, who would say that Miss Ventura could not go to the police because she had a lot to lose. Around August 2015, for example, in the middle of a surprise birthday party for Miss Ventura's 29th birthday, Mr. Combs insisted that Miss Ventura leave the party and go to a hotel for an FO. When she expressed that she did not want to go, Mr. Combs had Miss Ventura cornered by his security staff in order to force her to leave with him. After this FO, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura went back to the hotel room that Miss Ventura was staying in, where some of Miss Ventura's friends were already hanging out. Mr. Combs was severely intoxicated and at one point during the night picked up one of Miss Ventura's friends like a child and dangled the friend over a balcony on the 17th floor hotel suite. Mr. Ventura and her friends were scared by Mr. Combs' erratic behavior, but Miss Ventura was heavily sedated because of the drugs she took to participate in the FO, and therefore was unable to respond to Mr. Combs' terrifying behavior. The FOs became work for Miss Ventura, and despite her prostitutions, Mr. Combs insisted on these intricately staged and forced sexual encounters between Miss Ventura and various sex workers. Miss Ventura tries to escape Mr. Combs' abuse. So she tried to escape. Let's see what the heck happened here. Anytime she tried to create distance between her and Mr. Combs, he used his networks to find her and convince her to return to his house. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs sent his employees to lure Miss Ventura back. In 2011, during a rough patch in Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's relationship, Miss Ventura had a brief relationship with a musician called Kid Cudi. When Mr. Combs returned from his trip, he demanded another FO of Miss Ventura. She acquiesced. During this FO, Mr. Combs found Miss Ventura's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Mr. Combs became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Mr. Combs' wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to just talk to Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to just talk to Mr. Combs, even though Mr. Combs was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Mr. Combs and his network of enforcers, Miss Ventura returned to Mr. Combs. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out the door. She went to her parents' home in Connecticut, where her mother took pictures of her bruises Mr. Combs had left on Miss Ventura's body. In February 2012, during the Paris Fashion Week, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home and his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded. In the driveway. What's up, Justin T? Hey, Karen Johnson. He blew the man's car up. When she tried to run, okay, here we go. Miss Ventura was terrified. She began to fully comprehend. Hold on, let me see. I think what I go to. Okay, exploded in his driveway. Miss Ventura was terrified, and she began to fully comprehend what Mr. Combs was both willing and able to do to those he believed had slighted him. In 2015, Miss Ventura spoke to a popular music manager at an after party in a hotel suite in Las Vegas. Mr. Combs saw her speaking to this manager and sternly told her to step into the bedroom adjoining the suite. In the bedroom, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura severely. She ran from corner to corner of the room, trying to avoid Mr. Combs beating and kicking. When she tried to lock herself in the bathroom, he pushed through and punched and kicked her while she was curled up under the toilet. Y'all, as we read this, you can just visualize what she's saying happened. It is appalling. It say beat her while she punched and kicked while she was curled up under the toilet. Her screams were drowned out by loud music playing in the outside area of the music suite, of the hotel suite. When Mr. Combs, head of security and assistants, saw Miss Ventura after the assault, they began to cry. Miss Ventura had 2 black eyes, a burst and bruised lip, and a huge welt over on her forehead. Upon seeing the results of this vicious attack, Mr. Combs immediately took steps to conceal his wrongdoing. He forced Miss Ventura to stay at his home in Holmby Hills along with one of his sons. While there, Mr. Combs FaceTimed Miss Ventura and stated, "You gotta go up and put more makeup on. My son can't see you like that." She did put makeup on, per Mr. Combs' demands. Miss Ventura felt that she had no choice but to obey the abuser. Miss Ventura felt that she had no choice but to obey. Even though security guards, assistants, and friends saw the situation she was in, no one dared to help her or speak up on her behalf. I hear Rico. I hear Rico too. Somebody said they heard Rico. I hear Rico too. I hear Rico. Later in 2015, while shooting the movie in Cape Town, South Africa, Miss Ventura began a flirtatious relationship with the actor. She spent New Year's Eve with this actor, but Mr. Combs soon found out. Mr. Combs called the actor and threatened him. The actor proceeded to call Miss Ventura and tell her, "You really need to call Mr. Combs." In or about March 2016, during the FO in the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Los Angeles, Mr. Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black... What the... After he fell asleep, Miss Ventura tried to leave the hotel room, but as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway, into the hotel while yelling at her. He grabbed at her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her, causing glass to crush around him as she ran to the elevator to escape. She managed to get into the elevator, and when she got to the lobby, quickly took a cab to her apartment. While realizing that her running away could cause Mr. Combs to be even angrier with her and completely stuck in this vicious cycle of abuse, Miss Ventura returned to the hotel with the intention of apologizing. What is up with these girls going back to these crazy... Miss Ventura returned to the hotel with the intention of apologizing for running away from her abuser. When she returned, hotel security staff urged her to get back into the cab and go to her apartment, suggesting that they had seen the security footage showing Mr. Combs beating Miss Ventura. So there's footage out there showing this. It's on camera. You can't deny it. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs paid the International Century City $50,000 for the hallway security footage from that evening. After this, Miss Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's home in Florida. James Cruz, president of Bad Boy Entertainment, tracked Miss Ventura down and told her that her single would not be released if she did not answer Mr. Combs' phone call. A woman who worked in Sony Music reached out to her with a similar ultimatum concerning her record. Incredibly, Mr. Combs even convinced one of his attorneys to call Miss Ventura at this time. This lawyer told Miss Ventura that it's her best interest to call Mr. Combs back. Each time Miss Ventura tried to run away, Mr. Combs had his powerful network will force her back to him. Mr. Combs' tight hold over her life had irreparably damaged her friendships. Around 2018, when Miss Ventura was with her friend Carrie Morgan in her house, Mr. Combs used his key to Miss Ventura's house and came in unannounced. He and Miss Morgan had an altercation during which Mr. Combs threw a hanger at Miss Morgan. Upon information and belief, the incident resulted in a settlement between Mr. Combs and Miss Morgan, and Miss Ventura ended up paying Miss Morgan additional funds in an attempt to resolve the dispute between her close friend and her abusive and controlling boyfriend. The relationship began with Miss Ventura and Miss Morgan has been strained since. Seeing the extreme measures Mr. Combs took to keep a tight hold on Miss Ventura and isolate her from her support network, and having experienced the repercussions of rejecting his demands, Miss Ventura felt that saying no to Mr. Combs could cost her something: her family, her friends, her career, or even her life. Mr. Combs, our words, Miss Ventura. By 2017 and 2018, Miss Ventura became desperate to leave Mr. Combs and his abuse of her. She realized that if she stayed with him, she would never be able to have a successful career or ever be physically and mentally safe. She therefore became determined to completely break away from Mr. Combs and his cycle of abuse and made concerted efforts to avoid him. In September 2018, she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner at an Italian restaurant in Malibu, California, for what she believed would be a discussion about concluding their relationship for good. After dinner, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura returned to Miss Ventura's home, which was paid for by Mr. Combs. Okay, he paid for the home. Okay. Mr. Combs forced himself into her apartment and tried to kiss Miss Ventura. She told him to stop and attempted to push him away. Mr. Combs then forcibly pulled off Mrs. Ventura. Trigger warning. I could tell this going there. Trigger warning. If this is gonna, this gonna be too much for you, this is your opportunity to check off for a minute, because it's about to get real graphic. Soon after, Mr. Combs then forcibly pulled off Miss Ventura's clothing and unbuckled his belt. He proceeded to R-word Miss Ventura while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Soon thereafter, Miss Ventura took steps to completely separate herself from her long-term abuser, including by leaving the home that he paid for and returning the car he purchased for her. Despite moving away, Miss Ventura's address was posted online in early 2019, leading to fears for her safety. Rico. Sound like something that some of the R. Kelly people will do. Take your information, post it online, dox you. Same type of stuff. Miss Ventura, who was under immense duress during the months after Mr. Combs R-worded her, took all steps possible to entirely remove herself from the abuser's ambit, including by entering into contracts to end her record deal with Bad Boy Entertainment. Mr. Combs' sexual and physical abuse of Miss Ventura has caused her long life harm. As a result of the immense trauma Miss Ventura endured over a decade of Mr. Combs, she has suffered and continues to suffer from immense emotional distress. Following her escape from the cycle of abuse and sex trafficking she endured, she struggled with the physical and mental manifestations of her trauma. The birth of her 2 children, however, allowed her to a new lease in life and gave her purpose. She credits her children with saving her from trauma that she had consumed over a decade of her life. Except for months when she was pregnant with her children, Miss Ventura struggled with her addictions and drugs and alcohol, addictions that were established and fueled by Mr. Combs. She turned to substances to drown out the memories of her abuse. Without being intoxicated, she suffered from horrific nightmares and forced sexual acts that Mr. Combs demanded she participate in during the regularly scheduled FOs and the physical beatings that she endured throughout her relationship. She had difficulty eating or sleeping, and her relationships with her family suffered. During this time, she frequently had thoughts of ending her life. To rebuild her life and her career, Miss Ventura needed to completely reinvent herself. She checked herself into an inpatient treatment and rehabilitation center. Good job, sister. Where she first confronted the extent of the trauma she lives with. She has required extensive therapy and other medical care to recover from Mr. Combs' abuse, and she will forever live with the physical and psychological repercussions of her over a decade of violence, fear, and exploitation she endured. Although Miss Ventura was unable to speak up against the years of abuse she endured at the hands of Mr. Combs, she has since been able to rebuild her life and confront her trauma. Thanks to the passage of New York's Adult Survivors Act and California's Sexual Abuse Accountability and Cover-Up Act, she is now ready and able to also confront her abuser and to hold him and those who enabled his abuse accountable for their actions. You go, girl. You go. You go. First cause of action. Sex trafficking under 18 U.S.C. 1591 against all defendants. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all proceedings paragraphs as if fully set forth wherein. Plaintiff is a victim of sex trafficking within the meaning of 18 U.S.C. 1591 and B, and is wherefore entitled to bring a civil action. The defendant's act, I hope this thing going towards criminal. I hope this ain't just all about money. I hope this thing go towards criminal, because his ass need to go to jail. Period. The defendant's action omissions taken separately and or together as outlined above constitute a violation of 18 U.S.C. Specifically, the defendant Sean Combs perpetrated sex trafficking of Miss Ventura by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions. Ooh! Multiple jurisdictions. And all defendants benefited from Mr. Combs' venture by holding Miss Ventura, an artist signed with the defendant Bad Boy Records and otherwise employed by other defendant Doe corporations. What's up, Glamour Girl? What's going on? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sex trafficking is federal. What's up, David Campos? Benefited Mr. Ventures by holding Miss Ventura, an artist signed with the defendant Bad Boy Records and otherwise employed by other defendant Doe corporations, captive to Mr. Combs' defendants and desires. At all relevant times, the defendants participated in and facilitated in harboring and transportation of the plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. Where are the criminal charges? Where are the criminal charges? They better come with that RICO. They better come with that RICO. The defendant corporations have financially and otherwise benefited as a result of these acts and omissions by keeping Mr. Combs, the volatile and explosive owner of the defendant corporation, satisfied. They benefited from facilitating his behavior to the extent it kept the mercurial music mogul happy and kept Miss Ventura obedient to Mr. Combs and the corporation's interests. The defendant Combs and defendants Bad Boy Entertainment, and Doe Corp 1 through 10 formed a venture as defined in 18 U.S.C. 1591, given that they constituted a group of two or more individuals associated in act, whether or not legal entity. It's over for Puffy. Yeah, it's over for him. It's over for you. As a direct and proximate result, the defendant's unlawful conduct, as alleged herein thereof, plaintiff has suffered physical injury, severe emotional distress and anxiety, humiliation, embarrassment, post-traumatic stress disorder, economic harm, and other consequential damages. Plaintiff also seeks reasonable attorney's fees as provided under 18 U.S.C. Second clause of action, violation of New York Services for Victims Human Trafficking. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs as if fully set forth wherein. The plaintiff is a victim in sex trafficking within the meanings of the New York Penal Law 2030.34 and is therefore entitled to bring a civil action under NYSOC Serv 483. The defendant's acts and omissions, taken separately and or together as outlined above, constitute a violation of New York Social Serv 483, specifically the defendant Sean Combs perpetrating sex trafficking of Miss Ventura by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in the state of New York, and all defendants benefited from Mr. Combs' venture by holding Miss Ventura and an artist signed by Bad Boy Records or otherwise employed by other defendant Doe corporations captive to Mr. Combs' demands and desires. At all relevant times, the defendants participating in and facilitating the harboring and transportation of the plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. I just read today he's not facing criminal charges. That's crazy as I don't know here. I don't know what. The defendant corporations have financially and otherwise benefited as a result of these acts and omissions by keeping Mr. Combs, the volatile and explosive owner of the defendant's corporation, satisfied. They benefited from facilitating his behavior to the extent kept in mercurial music mogul happy and kept Miss Ventura obedient to Mr. Combs and corporation's interests. As a direct and proximate result, the defendant's unlawful conduct and alleged herein thereof, plaintiff have suffered physical injury, severe emotional distress and anxiety, humiliation, embarrassment, post-traumatic stress disorder, economic harm, and other consequential damages. Plaintiff also seeks reasonably attorney's fees and other under the NYSOC Serv. Hold on, y'all. Sorry. Fix this. Okay. Let me go up here. Okay. Let's see. Third action. Violation of... Okay. So this is the same kind of thing, y'all. So, same thing. Fourth case, battery and sexual assault under New York law. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all the proceedings. In performing the conduct describing above, the defendant committed a battery against the plaintiff because he intentionally engaged in unlawful, intentional, and offensive touching and application of force with the plaintiff's person. Defendant's actions amounts to violations. Okay. As a result, Mr. Combs' alleged conduct, the plaintiff has suffered physical injury, severe emotional distress, humiliation, embarrassment, anxiety, economic harm, and other consequential damages. The conduct of Mr. Combs described above was willful, wanton, and malicious. At all relevant times, Mr. Combs acted with conscious disregard of plaintiff's rights and feelings, acted with the knowledge of or with reckless disregard for the fact that his conduct was certain to cause injury and or humiliation to the plaintiff and intended to cause fear, physical injury, and or pain and suffering to the plaintiff. By virtue of the foregoing, the plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive and expiatory and exemplary damages from Mr. Combs according to proof at trial. Let me read that one more time. By virtue of the foregoing, plaintiff is entitled to recover punitive and exemplary damages from Mr. Combs according to proof at trial. This action is timely because it falls within the CPLR 214 and is brought during a one year time period set forth in this section. The claims brought herein allege intentional and negligent acts and or omissions by or for physical, psychological, and other injury suffered as a result of the conduct that would constitute sexual offenses as defined in Article 130 of the New York Penal Law, and sex acts and or omissions were committed against Ms. Ventura when she was over 18 years old. The action also fails within California's adult sexual abuse law and is brought during the 3-year time period set forth in this action. Wow. Sexual assault pursuant to California. Plaintiff repeats and realleges that each and every allegation in all proceedings paragraphs is as if fully set forth therein. The defendant, Mr. Combs, suggested the plaintiff to sexual abuse, sexual battery, the R word, and forcible act of sexual penetration as defined in California Penal Code 234-4, 261, and 289. In doing so, he intended to and did cause harmful and sexually offensive contact with their person and place them in imminent apprehension of such conduct or such contact. The defendant corporations were entities engaging in a cover-up. Oh, wow, they talking about the cover-up. Okay. Let's see. Evidence related to the above described sexual assaults and incentivize individuals to remain silent or prevented information related to the sexual assaults from becoming public. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's unlawful conduct, as alleged herein thereof, the plaintiff has suffered from physical injury, severe emotional distress and anxiety, humiliation, embarrassment and post-traumatic stress disorder, economic harm, and or other consequential damages. Violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act. Okay. Plaintiff repeats and alleges each and every allegation in the preceding paragraphs is if fully set herein. The above described conduct of the defendant, Mr. Combs, included but not limited to Mr. Combs' repeated physical and sexual assaults of the plaintiff in New York City, constitutes a crime of violence, and a crime of violence motivated by gender against plaintiff as designed in the New York City VGMVPL. It says, the above described conduct of Mr. Combs, included but not limited to Mr. Combs' repeated physical and sexual assaults of the plaintiff in New York City, constitutes a crime of violence. against the plaintiff and is a crime of violence motivated by gender. As defined, the term crime of violence means an act or series of acts that will constitute a misdemeanor or felony against a person as defined in state or federal law, or that would constitute a misdemeanor or felony against property as defined in state or federal law if the conduct presents a serious risk of physical injury or to another, whether or not those acts have actually resulted in criminal charges, prosecution, or conviction. As of the term violence motivated by gender means a crime of violence committed because of gender and or basis of gender, and due at least in part to a animus based on the victim's gender. The defendant corporations enabled Mr. Combs' commission of the crime and violence motivated by gender, and therefore should be liable under the VGM VPL. Let's see here. As a direct and proximate result of the aforementioned crime of violence and gender motivated violence, the plaintiff has sustained and will continue to sustain monetary damages, physical injury, pain and suffering, and serious psychological and emotional distress, entitling her to an award of compensatory and punitive damages, injunctive and declaratory relief, attorney's fees and costs, and other remedies as this court may deem appropriate. Damages are set forth. Seventh cause of action, sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and hostile work environment. Y'all already know what that is. Let's see. It says the plaintiff repeats, and alleges each and every allegation in all proceedings and paragraphs is fully set forth therein. The defendant's discriminating against a plaintiff on the basis of her gender in violation of NYSHRL by subjecting plaintiff to desperate treatment based upon her gender, including but not limited to subjecting her to sexual assault and or harassment, the R word, and hostile work environment. It says, as a direct and proximate result, the defendant's unlawful discriminatory conduct in violation with NYSHRL, the plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer monetary and or economic harm for which she is entitled to an award of monetary damages and other relief. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's unlawful discriminatory conduct in violation with NYSHRL, the defendant has suffered and continues to suffer severe mental anguish and emotional distress for which she is entitled to an award of monetary damages and other relief. Go down. Cause of action, sexual harassment, gender. Okay, we kind of read that one. That's the same thing, but just against all the different defendants. Prayer for relief. It says, wherefore the plaintiff prays judgment to be entered in her favor against the defendants, and each of them as follows. Number one, for a money judgment representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earning, and all other sums of money together with interest on these amounts according to proof. For a money judgment for mental pain and anguish and severe emotional distress according to proof. For punitive and exemplary damages according to proof. For attorney's fees and costs. For prejudicial or prejudgment and post-judgment interest. And for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. This was dated on November 16th out of New York. Respectfully submitted by the WGR Wigdor LLP, Douglas H. Wildor, Meredith A. Firetog, and Michael W. Willman out of New York. Man, y'all, Diddy is done. Diddy is done. He done. Done. I don't see how he gonna pay his way out of this. I don't see it. Maybe y'all do. I mean, y'all tell me what y'all think. Would y'all say that P. Diddy is done, or do you think he gonna get out of this? I mean, what do y'all gotta say? Let me see what y'all gotta say. Okay? This is he's done if you ask me. He's done. Okay? Absolutely done. Let me read some of y'all comments and see what y'all gotta say. What's up, Rodney Williams? What's up, bro? How you doing? Let me read some of y'all comments in here. Let me see. Glamour Girl said, I'm glad she had the courage to expose him and didn't take his hush money. Right, exactly. Let me see. Baby Sis says it's over for Puffy. He will be charged in New York and California, and that's interstate trafficking. He is done. Yes, I agree. Justin T. Please says, is it a reason Diddy changed his name? He thinks he's smart. But he ain't. Right. Pray that he can't buy his way out of this. Yeah. That can be converted into a hate crime. Right. Against women. Yep. What's up, bro? Let me see. Let me read some of y'all. I think eventually charges will be coming. She going after the business, not individual. Fed's gonna watch the case and then get with her. I'm sure they are. What's up, Naya? He's done. They threw the G word at him. Yep. Man. Dude, done. I agree. Oh, thanks, Cherie. I think that whatever he actually did, he will get in trouble for that. That's why karma exists. Yeah, man. So listen, man, I appreciate y'all coming over here. Y'all are doing excellent with that like button. Y'all killing the like button. I appreciate that. Y'all continue to support the channel. Hit the like button. If you want to be a blessing to the channel, you see at the bottom where you could do a PayPal or, you know what I'm saying. As y'all know, these things are not cheap, but, we don't mind coming on here to give y'all the information, to read it so y'all don't have to read it. So I appreciate y'all coming up over here and being a part of this with me. But y'all, this is crazy. Puff, I never really liked Puff Daddy. I always felt like it was something with him that was real weird. Ever since he did that Making the Band thing on MTV, that was really weird. He would make them kids walk miles and, to go get them cheesecake and little crazy stuff like that. Like, it was just real weird, little stupid stuff he would do. But Diddy is headline news in the UK. Wow, yeah, 30 million out. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it's crazy. But y'all, listen, man. I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming over here. If y'all please, y'all already. I can't say hit the like button no more. Y'all killed the like button. So thank you so much. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking out. We gonna stay on top of this. Okay. So trust and believe. I'm gonna keep y'all updated on what's going on. Let me show y'all something else that just came over. And thank you so much, y'all. Y'all be sending me stuff to make sure that I'm on point. Let me all right, let me show you this. Hold on. Here we go. So 3114. Okay. All right, share, email. All right, y'all, let me see. Let me share. Boom. Gmail. Okay, so go to 31. 3114. Joycelyn's name is mentioned in connection to Diddy. Oh shit. Hold on, y'all. So somebody just sent me something that said that Joycelyn's name is mentioned in connection to P. Diddy. Let me play this. Let me see if y'all can. Hold on. Let me get to this. Let's go. So 30. I'm gonna go 31. Okay. So y'all listen to this here. I don't want Tasha K to strike my channel, so I'm not gonna play the actual show the video, but I'm gonna play the audio. Okay. So y'all hold on, listen to this. See if y'all can hear this. Listen. Shout out to Tasha K. This is on her video, y'all. Here we go. Boom, boom.
There are others? He's always told me that it was just only us two, but I don't believe him because I always catch him like texting other girls and stuff like that. So like after my abortion, it was this girl named Jordan. I mean, it was girls before that, but it's like after the abortion, it was just like too much for me to handle, and it was just like Jordan, and then the Jocelyn girl, and then the cat girl, and then just recently Lori Harvey,
Steve Harvey's stepdaughter.
yeah.
There are others?
He's always told me that it was just only us two, but I don't believe him because I always catch him like texting other girls and stuff like that. So like after my abortion, it was this girl named Jordan. I mean, it was girls before that, but it's like after the abortion, it was just like too much for me to handle, and it was just like Jordan, and then the Jocelyn girl, and then the cat girl, and then just recently Lori Harvey.
Okay, so it's a
Steve
different.
Harvey's
So it's not
stepdaughter.
the
Yeah.
Jocelyn that we think about. It's another Jocelyn. Okay, cool. Jocelyn Shu, Asian model. Okay, Lori Jocelyn. Okay, cool. So not the same one that we talk about with R. Kelly. It's probably a different one. Okay, cool. Well, y'all listen. Y'all go check out Tasha K's interview she had with this girl who had a 5-year relationship with P. Diddy that she says was abusive. So y'all go check that out. Okay. Listen, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming over. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed day. Okay. Peace out.